of ancient Greece to a paperback grabbed at the airport, nothing captures the imagination of children and adults alike more than a great adventure story. And no genre of literature was more tailor-made for film adaptation. Tales of swashbuckling heroes in far-off lands have continued to inspire the most visionary directors in cinema. When it comes to great stories of adventure, they all trace their roots back to the Odyssey by Homer. The Greek hero of the piece, Odysseus, or Ulysses, as he came to be known by the Romans, is voyaging home from the fall of Troy, and he and his men have to face off against a litany of challenges, including the mighty Cyclops, the tribe of cannibals, and the enchanting sirens, whose song attracts sailors to their deaths. Ulysses himself must also resist the offer of immortality while he's held captive on an island.
Living. Immortal. This is my gift. The greatest gift that has ever been offered to a man. No. There are greater gifts. To be born and to die. And in between to live like a man. To live like a man? Filled with petty fears? Only the fearful can know the value of courage.
The 1954 film Ulysses with Kirk Douglas has so far been the only major film adaptation of the story. The Italian production was so popular that it spawned an entire genre of adaptations of classical mythology called peplum. The original poem by Homer has been inspiring written stories for millennia. A man who has been through bitter experiences and travelled far enjoys even his sufferings after a time. One tale of the more recent past that shares the story of a man trapped on an island is Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe. Defoe wrote his most famous work when he was already well into his 50s, and he had led a remarkable life up to that point. He had been a close ally of King William III of England, working as both a pamphleteer and as a spy. But he had also had multiple stints in prison thanks to the large debts he had accrued as a travelling merchant. Throughout his long career, he had come across some remarkable real-life stories of castaways stranded on desert islands, including the Scotsman Alexander Selkirk, who spent 4 years marooned in the South Pacific before being rescued. It's thought that Defoe took these remarkable stories of survival and put them into Robinson Crusoe. It was actually presented as an autobiography, and many of the first readers thought it was a real tale of 28 years on a desert island. Just like in the Odyssey, Robinson Crusoe has to deal with deadly challenges, and along the way he befriends his loyal companion, Friday. The novel was such a sensation when it was first released that it created an entire industry of desert island stories, dubbed Robinsonade, one of the most directly influenced works being The Swiss Family Robinson, which shows its origins in its very title. Written in 1812 by the Swiss pastor Johann David Weiss as a way of teaching values to his children, it features a family who get shipwrecked on their way to Australia. It was just as wildly popular as Defoe's work and has had a wide variety of adaptations. An early film version was made in 1940 by RKO Pictures, and Walt Disney made the first colour version in 1960 with John Mills as the head of the stranded family.
First thing we're going to do is to unload the raft. Then, pull up some sort of shelter for the night.
Not the first thing.
Tales of survival on desert islands have proved an enduringly popular topic in both adventure novels and their film adaptations. In 2000, the film Castaway with Tom Hanks was yet another in the long line of stories, with the only update being that the protagonist survives a plane crash rather than the more traditional shipwreck.
the air got to it. The air got to it!
Sir Walter Scott would be yet another author who joined in the Robinson Egg trend in 1822 when he published The Pirate. But it's another novel of his, Ivanhoe, that has had the most profound impact on the adventure genre. Scott was world famous as a poet before turning his hand towards novels, which he chose to write anonymously. Ivanhoe was published in 1819 and deals with the conflict between Anglo-Saxons and Normans in 12th century England. The novel sparked a revival of interest in tales of medieval times, featuring crusader knights, notorious outlaws, and magnificent royal tournaments. The most famous film adaptation has been the 1952 version, starring Robert Taylor, Joan Fontaine, and Elizabeth Taylor.
A horseman approaching from the south! It's Ivanhoe.
Ivanhoe?
Yes, my lord.
Coming like a lamb from the butcher. So busy his face about.
But Ivanhoe's influence goes beyond the story itself. The novel features Robin Hood, or Robin of Locksley as Walter Scott named him, and it's had an enormous impact on the mythology of the Nottingham outlaw. Scott even gave Robin his most famous scene of splitting his rival's arrow in the royal tournament, which was brought to life by Errol Flynn in The Adventures of Robin Hood.
Why, he can't make now. No living man could beat that shot. I'll wager 100 marks on Philip and Alice.